The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, November 23rd, 2022, Season 18, Episode number 77. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It is the day before Thanksgiving, annual Thanksgiving game. Cowboys will take on the Giants this year, and that game starts at 3:30 p.m. It'll be on Fox for those of you at home and getting ready with all your food to sit down and watch the game. We actually got a game we're going to play a little later today that Brian just told us about. I have no idea how this is going to go. It might be totally wheels off. I can guarantee you one thing. Knowing Nick Eatman, he will have some great answers for this game. Me and Amber will just kind of sit in the cut and see if we can come up with one or two.
It's going to be fun.
But this is going to be interesting. But let's get into a little bit of talk. We're going to talk a little bit about the matchup, and then we do have some fan questions. I want to get some fan questions worked in here this day before Thanksgiving. Let's start first with the matchup between the Cowboys and the Giants. I'm going to ask you guys this first question. Player that most concerns you that's not named Saquon Barkley?
Daniel Jones.
Why Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones to me is this team is 6-1 when he doesn't throw an interception. And he's done a much better job of not doing that. And so if you can get him somehow to make a mistake, then you get a shot at beating these guys. They're really banged up. They're hurting up front. They're going to have some problems. But you know what? He's played pretty well for them. He doesn't make mistakes. He runs when he needs to run. He gets out of trouble. If he's in trouble, he'll throw the ball away now. He doesn't try and force things. I just worry about some of those pass rushes on 3rd and 12 or whatever, 3rd and 7, and all of a sudden it's break contain and it's a gain of 26 because of Daniel Jones running the football. He's gotten much better at that. And so he makes me nervous from a guy of converting third downs if they're trying to throw the ball and they can't throw the ball, but he runs the ball and converts the third down.
Yeah, I mean, Leonard Williams is going to play this game.
I think so.
That's probably the one, one guy on defense. I mean, the Cowboys' offense is rolling, so somebody that would mess that up, and he's been a guy that's hurt this team in the past. So I would say their best defensive player would be the guy, and he's probably a guy that could control the line of scrimmage.
To me, it would be. It doesn't matter if it's the quarterback or Saquon Barkley, whoever is running with the ball. Anyone, because we've seen it before. It doesn't necessarily need to be a well-known player for someone to be able to run the ball effectively against this Cowboys defense. So just the running game overall doesn't matter. I'm not sticking to a specific person. Just that's the one area that it could maybe possibly hurt the Cowboys a little bit. We'll get into prediction. At the end of the day, I don't think it'll be something that will kill them. But that's the only area that I'm kind of keeping my eyes on and concerned.
All right. When you go back to the game the Cowboys played against the Giants, they won by 7. It was without Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush's numbers, listen to this, 21 of 31 for 215 yards, 1 touchdown, a 98.2 rating. By all accounts, a pretty good day. Not very different than what they're doing with Dak at this point, throwing in that 200-ish range and just being efficient with the football. That being said, do you expect the game plan to change much now that they have Dak in? They ran, just for reference, they ran the ball 30 times in that game. They passed 31 times. So it was pretty much a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
Do you expect the same kind of game plan in this game as the last game, or do you expect them to do more with Dak because he's Dak?
I do think that some of the numbers will look different, mainly because of what they're finding with Pollard in the passing game. Passing yards, even though it's a safer pass, and it's if you can wheel it out there to Pollard or swing it out like whatever, you take the passing yards out of it, but I still think it'll be a controlled passing game because I think that they found. I think the dynamic between Zeke and Pollard is different than it was in Week 3. They figured something out differently. So I think yards will look different, even though they're going to get the backs involved. That might mean more in the passing game, but either way, they're going to get them involved more than I think they did that game.
Yeah, I think the game plan for the Cowboys will be pretty similar, and I think they're at advantage here because they've obviously faced the Giants already. They know kind of how they're playing and all of that, as opposed to what the Giants were facing with the Cowboys when they initially played, which you got players that weren't there playing. The offense looks completely different than what it was. What week was that? Week three. Then week 3, you had, your Cooper Rush was playing. You said Dalton Schultz was out game.
No Gallup.
No Gallup.
Curse was out. Yeah, there
the
were a lot of
running
guys
game
out, yeah.
wasn't as effective as it is now. So I think offensively, Giants are playing a completely different offense than what they initially faced versus what the Cowboys have and they face. I don't think their team overall looks that whole different than Week 3.
Sure.
So that's an advantage there, and I think they'll keep a similar Cowboys-wise. They'll keep a similar game.
It's interesting when you play the Giants now that they give up rushing yards, and this might be the fastest Thanksgiving Day game in the history of Thanksgiving Day games. If both teams get to the running game quick, and I think the only chance that the Giants have is really just trying to run the ball and limit Dallas's possessions. But Dallas can run the ball on the Giants, and there might be something to that. I just in my heart believe this. On a short week, it's a short game plan. It's a very small play sheet. It's not the big huge menu card that we see most coordinators have. I think it's a really small, almost like if you know college football, Mike Leach, and he has like a little piece of paper that he calls the plays from. And I just feel like that whatever team can really establish that, it'll help. It'll help that the Cowboys are more capable of throwing the ball. The Giants will give up some passes, though, too. Their secondary is a little bit banged up. But those rushing yards per attempt, I mean, Dallas could get into this thing and run the ball, and then it turns into play-action game. And then play-action game ends up being scores. So I kind of feel like that both teams are going to try really hard to kind of establish the run. Dallas will adapt better and then be able to throw, and that'll be the difference in this game.
Final question on the matchup. Dallas allowed 167 rush yards in Week 3. By all accounts, a really good day on the ground for the Giants. They also held Daniel Jones to 196 passing yards, and they sacked him 5 times. Is it necessary to have a dominant run defense this week against the run in order for Dallas to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of what she said about it. I mean, a lot of that rushing yards was Daniel Jones, too. I mean, it was a lot Barkley, but it was also Jones, and it was also sweeps around the edge. And, I mean, they were creative with their yards because that's what they had. They knew, even in that game, they couldn't stop DeMarcus Lawrence. He had 3 sacks in that game. They put a lot of attention, if I remember correctly, on Parsons. That was the game he didn't get a sack, and they were kind of teasing him afterwards and all that because he had that big game in Week 2. They put a lot of attention on him, and they feasted off of that. So they're gonna have to. I mean, and I still think that's what you have to do. I mean, I think you have to stop Micah Parsons that way.
But do you think that in this game, I know in most games we go into the game saying, man, it's imperative. Dallas has to stop the run. As we saw in that game, they didn't really stop the run. They still won by 7, and their offense wasn't as explosive as you would think it is now. So is this a game where it really matters as much if they stop the run?
You still do. I mean, they were down 7 in the third quarter. I mean, they had to make plays on offense to get it going. So, I still think you have to stop the run.
Yeah, I went back in history of the Dallas Cowboys, and I was just curious of when they give up a 200-yard rusher. When it's 200 yards. They lost a game, and we'll all remember this game on October 4th against the Cleveland Browns where they gave up 307 yards on the ground on 40 attempts. It was a 49-38 game. Their record when they give up a 200-yard rusher is 7-25. So you start to think about, like, all of a sudden if that you're in a situation. I mean, this is the history of the Dallas Cowboys.
7 wins when you give up a 200-yard
That's
rusher?
impressive.
Yeah.
The 7 wins is impressive.
Yeah. They won a game in 1984 where they gave up 283 yards to the Bears and won 23-14. But it's the last 4 games that they've given up. They've given up 307, 306, 294, 289. And all 4 losses. And then they played the Bears, like I say, at 84 and gave up 283 and managed to win the game 23-14.
Sweetness.
So, yeah, I mean, but you go through the history, there are plenty of games. They gave up 200 and they gave it to the Giants. They won a game. They gave up 244 yards to the Giants in 1995, December 17th of 95. 244 yards and won 21-20. Yeah.
There you
Good
go.
game. It was a good game.
Look at you.
So that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, that's the kind of
Don't remember last night, but I remember that.
yeah. But they have a bad history of when there's a 200-yard rusher or 200 yards rushing in a game. Their history is not great.
3 in one season one time.
Oh no, that was 2000.
I remember that year.
Charlie Gardner and all that was that.
Not
Who
good,
else?
yes.
Charlie Gardner was one of them.
Deuce Staley.
Deuce Staley was another one.
Was that the year that
Priest,
Baltimore?
Holmes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamal Lewis.
Yeah.
So that's to me, it's one of those things like, can you handle a over 200 yards rushing in a game? I think the Giants are going to try.
Yeah.
I think the Giants' only way of really winning this game is finding a way to get 200 yards or more rushing.
And go crazy with it, yeah.
Only the Cowboys had a big defensive tackle who used to play for the Giants that would want to stop the run.
Yeah.
Hankins.
Dinner roll.
We'll see about that.
We'll get to that.
We'll see.
We'll get to that.
On my side, I think in this specific game, like, yes, you always have to, at this point, based on everything that we've seen so far, you have to watch out for the run defense, improve in that aspect. But I think this is a game where, even though Barkley is a really good football player and he can definitely run, I think I want to make sure you put as much pressure as you can on Daniel Jones and just make him uncomfortable. Just because to me, he's not the type of quarterback that I see that he stays very poised. Like, you make him uncomfortable and you get him kind of off his game a little bit. So just go after him, pressure him. Even if he tries to run with the ball, just get Micah Parsons on him. And I think that you balance out the game and the Cowboys offense would do enough to just score points. I don't even think this is going to be a close game whatsoever.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I actually, for the next 3 games, this game, the game against Indy, the game against Houston, I actually think the Cowboys should go into the game planning that they're going to get into a 4-3 defense and they're going to basically stick there as much as possible. Because I don't think that either one of those 3 teams can beat you if you force them to pass. I'm going to dare them to pass against me. I'm going to say I'm going to crowd the line of scrimmage. I'm going to have a bunch of tacklers up there. I'm going to have a fearsome front 4. I'm going to have 3 linebackers on the field. And I'm basically going to say, if you're going to run, it's going to be tough sledding for you all day. I'm going to dare you to pass. And not only that, I'm going to dare you to pass against my offense, who I think can put up points. So I'm going to put you in a position where my offense hopefully gets clicking, they are scoring points, and that other team thinks they got to keep up, and I'm going to pressure you like that. That, to me, is the way that I think Dallas needs to play these next few weeks. Crowd the line of scrimmage, get out of nickel, and put that extra linebacker on the field and really dedicate yourself to stopping the run, because I think if you do that, these 3 teams have no shot whatsoever. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back from this break, we got some fan questions. We'll hit those in the third segment. We got a game that Brian has for us. We'll do all that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys? Jack Black. Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to the break.
Tuesday, November 29th, there's a brand new monthly concert series coming to the Star. It's called Sounds of the Star. It's a country rock band. Western Rewind will be there. The concert kicks off at 7 p.m. It's free and open to the public. For more information, visit thestarinfrisco.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. The segment presented by blockchain.com. Let's get to some fan questions. We got a question here first from Ernie. He says, how did Damone Clark perform in the last game? What are your thoughts on that?
Kind of felt like that he's getting better of understanding where he needs to be, where he needs to fit. I need to see him to be a little bit more aggressive. I think that's going to come with time. I have a lot of faith in this kid. Yep. My own personal, watching him play at LSU, I think they stole him here when they got him. He could have been a late 1-2. I think it's now just about feeling comfortable and understanding where he needs to fit in the scheme. There's a lot of moving parts when you watch this defense play. There's a lot of the twists, stunts, alignments, replace, and all that. And I kind of feel like, though, that he's learning along the way. Haven't seen him make the impact that I thought he was, but I think it's going to be soon. I think because when he's going to feel comfortable, you can tell because he'll cut it loose and you'll see him make those rundown plays in the point of attack and things like that. I don't think we've seen it very, very much here lately, but I think it's a lot about just being comfortable.
I think for him, Micah Parsons changes everything for the other team and for his own team. We talk about it all the time. Micah moves around so much that Damone Clark has to move. He has to adjust as well. And this reminds me of the Bill Parcells line that he used to have outside the locker room of knowledge is confidence, and confidence lets you play fast. And the more he picks this defense up and gets the knowledge and he's not thinking as much, just reacting, then he'll play a lot faster and smarter and even better.
Do you think that what we've seen so far puts you in a mindset that when Anthony Barr is back, he at least starts eating into his time on the field, if not continues to play when Anthony Barr is healthy?
That's an interesting thought, because when would that be is the number one question.
He still hasn't practiced, I don't think.
No, I don't think Anthony Barr's playing for you this week.
And you would have to really look at it, okay, how has the progress of a guy like Damone, because we have not, I think we're far from seeing the best of him yet. I think Brian, used the perfect word, is just feeling comfortable. Just him having the knowledge and just knowing what to do. And that's part of, new players, that happens, and it just takes time. But all in all, I think if he keeps going upwards, game after game, just trending upwards a little bit more, I think he does. You do put him in a situation where you take away some time from Barr just to keep his arrow trending upwards. And obviously it depends also on the opponents, what week that is, and you look at what you got going on there and how much more is Barr giving you as opposed to what Damone Clark is doing at that specific week.
No, you're absolutely right. To me, it's, hey, my future's not Anthony Barr. My future's Damone Clark. Mm-hmm. And so I need him playing as much as possible, and getting those reps. And, he hasn't done anything to kill you in a game where you're like going, oh, he just blew a coverage and they made a big play. It hasn't been that. But he's not playing with that openness that I saw at LSU. He looks a little cautious in the way he's playing, and they just need to get him going and more confident like Nick was talking about.
All right, so next question we got from Jay Gladstone. He says, which players are most important to neutralizing Daniel Jones in the run game?
Damone Clark is a guy there. I mean, one of the linebackers. I think Leighton, Micah. I mean, I think it's the linebackers, and it's kind of like how they play. But some of his runs, I feel like last time were kind of leaking out the edge. Like trying to run and then scrambling. So. Yeah. I think it's linebackers. It's also the safeties there, Curse. I mean, it's everybody. I think it's everybody because he's not just a design runner. He runs when things break down.
Yeah, it's the front four to me. I mean, the linebackers and stuff are important. The safeties are important. I totally agree with Nick on that. You run out of lanes and you twist or they'll try and create confusion for offensive linemen in pass rush. You could see it. Some of their best rushes are twist stunts or replacing each other, and then then there's all kinds of muddledness going on. It's real dirty in there, and they're banging around, and then all of a sudden the quarterback takes off running. And I think it's if you get out of rush lanes, if all of a sudden you don't get a twister or you get two guys pinned to one side and someone's supposed to be back inside and then he takes off running, that's on the defensive lineman. That you're supposed to be here on the rush. You're not supposed to be here. So I think it's how the front four are going to play in this game. You just can't, it's not building the wall around it, but it's not getting completely knocked out of rush lanes and allowing him gaps just to take off.
Yeah, I think and I may be wrong, but I feel that most of the runs that have hurt the Cowboys or that they struggle with is up the middle. And the linebackers just kind of being off position and not getting to the runner fast enough. So that would be an area where I would keep my eyes on, because if it's on the sides and like lateral, I feel that there's always like one or two guys are like right there and can catch to whoever the running person is, whoever's rushing the ball, whether that's the running back or the quarterback as well. So I think keeping better protection in the middle would be a key for this game.
This is, the last couple of weeks you've played, Cousins didn't run at all. No. He didn't run at all. Rodgers ran, and he can run. This guy has the ability to kind of run away from you. This guy, when you watch Daniel Jones, he's a good athlete, and he could run. He's faster than most quarterbacks. So if you're kind of like diving at his heels and all that, it keeps balance and then keeps going. And he's one of these guys, too, that's taking advantage of quarterbacks that you can't waste them in the field of play because he's running, and then you think he's going out of bounds, and then he turns it up and goes up a little further up the field. And you're like, because they had in the Cowboy game, they had, I think it was an opportunity where he ran outside and he went up the sidelines. You think he's going to go outside for a 3-yard gain, and he runs 8 more yards for a first down. And you're like going, well, if they just would have wasted him right there on the sidelines. But no, these quarterbacks are getting smart. They know if they got defenders that are fearful of taking a shot at these guys. So they get that little bit extra yards in these games, and you have to be ready for that. I think this guy's a good athlete. I think he's fast. And we've seen this guy run 60, 70 yards, and make plays.
All right. Next question. This one comes from Jorge Arenas. He says, are you afraid the Cowboys are in danger of falling for the dreaded overconfidence mentality after such a big win last week?
I would hope not after what happened in Green Bay. I would hope that, this is a division game, man. You got to have these games. You look what's going on right now. Philadelphia looks really wobbly. The Commanders are playing better. The Giants, try and get them out of the way. Put them 2 games down if you can. If you're overconfident going into this one and you go out there and lose, that's on you. Then we'll come back Monday and talk about, this team doesn't like this, doesn't like that, and is not consistent enough. But if you don't understand what's going on right now, the situation, then you're not paying attention on this football team.
This is a huge game because if you want to catch the Eagles at all, you obviously have to beat them. And if you beat them, then that puts them at least 2 losses in the division because you're going to have a split with them. And this game right here puts you at 3-1 in the division. Right. With 2 more to go. You're going to have to beat Philly, so that you're 4-1, and then we'll see what happens with Washington.
That could be the tiebreaker.
But that could be a tiebreaker then, because who's to say Philly's gonna beat the Giants twice and all that stuff? So you have a really good chance to tie Philadelphia, but have a better division record and win the division. You got to get this game right here.
Yep.
Y'all know I'm about vibes and vibing and all that, sensing people. And this was very, very different as opposed to other games, even going back to last year. Some of those wins that they were coming off, this game, like, they're not feeling overly confident. They're not feeling like they're the beep or anything like that. You see, now I censor myself.
Look at you.
Yeah. But no, the vibe was completely different. It's like they're focused. And like Nick said, hearing after the game in the locker room, players like Zach Martin talking about it's a 24-minute rule. Like, we're talking about the Giants now and all that. So the vibe overall, I felt that it was perfect. It didn't get into anybody's head. I didn't see anyone just jumping up and down, being so happy and excited. No, it's just like a regular game that they won. Like, at moments, it didn't even look as if they won. That's how focused and serious some of them were after the game. So I think their focus right now is exactly where it needs to be, and I don't think this is a week where they're going to go into AT&T Stadium feeling overly confident.
You've lost 3 in a row on Thanksgiving.
You're 3-7 in the last 10.
Yeah, I mean, like the guys that play in this game that sit there and say this game means a lot, it's special to be there on Thanksgiving. Well, play like it, because you're not playing like it right now. And then this whole, like, how do you get your mind and your body right and all that? Well, this team isn't doing it well. These guys haven't done it well. 3 out of 7.
Yeah.
So
you're 3-7.
3 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's most of the guys on the roster. There's only a couple of guys maybe on this team that's done it more than that. And so it's been losing football for most of these players on Thanksgiving. You're not, whatever you're doing, you're not turning it around and winning these games. And so this is one that for that reason, for the their record's the same as yours. You want to be in third place? Is this a third place football team? It is if you lose.
I'll tell you this.
And you're almost getting close to being fourth with Washington playing the way they're playing.
Yeah, it was interesting in the locker room after the game. We were talking to Micah Parsons, and he was asked, about playing angry, and he's like, "Yeah, I play well when I'm angry." And so he said, and that was obviously reflected tonight in how he played. He was talking about the last game, and then the question came, how do you make sure you don't fall back to not being angry? And he said, I have to keep remembering Green Bay.
Yeah.
That's the point. If they keep remembering, Green Bay can happen any individual week in the NFL, that's what can happen to you. No matter who the opponent is, that's what can happen to you. And if they keep remembering that, then maybe that keeps them from getting to that point of being overconfident, because the NFL is just too hard. It's too much parity in the NFL to ever take any team lightly.
When we did the mental health documentary, one of the things that came up and that I didn't know before is how sometimes when some of these players are not feeling very confident or whatever, they show them on the iPad some highlights of, like, this is what you can do. This is who you are. This is, like, you can do it, basically, to hype them up.
Does Derek do that when he hands you those awards every year that you get? Does Derek say, "Here,
She's
Amber"?
pretty much an every year thing. Now
Amber,
it's just kind of like, Amber, you got another trophy in my office.
Amber, here you go.
Up,
Here's what you did this last year. One of those things.
Oh my gosh. No, but going back to Micah, it just makes me think this is where you need to, instead of doing that, you do the opposite for Micah. Show them the bad plays. Show them where he messed up to get them to that point. Because he even talked about it to the media yesterday, just kind of like the whole lunch money. I mean, Nick, you wrote the article, so you can speak more on that. But it was a pretty funny, pretty good analogy, really.
Right. I mean, he's talking about, and got to be careful with Micah with some of the history that he's had. But he's talking about being the, guarding against the bully that wants to take your lunch money. They're going to keep doing it until you tell them. Till you stop them. And so that's what he feels like is the run defense. That's still what it is, that they haven't figured that out. Yeah, maybe one day they avoided him and they kept the money, but he's still going to come back the next day, and that's how he views this game. And and he basically also said, just tell me that I suck. Don't tell me that I'm good. Just tell me that I suck and or that I'm okay. Which sounds good. That's all nice and good. And then he goes out. If he could just stay off Twitter, man.
What do you do on Twitter?
It's just there's stuff that other people should say for you. Everybody, don't say just tell me I suck and all that, and don't tell me that I'm good. And then when the NFL says here are your 4 favorites for the NFL MVP, and then he tweets at them, why has this got to be a quarterback award? It's like.
Well, but no, that to me fits right in line with what he just said. Because what he just said was,
He's basically calling himself an MVP, which I don't disagree. But let someone else do it.
But I get that.
Where's your focus on a short week?
I guess my point still is
let's
that to me is how I look at it. Like, he's the type of person that thinks he should be great, and anybody that questions that, he makes it a mission to try to prove them wrong. So to me, it's the same thing. It's the NFL doesn't think I can be an MVP. Okay, watch this. Like, I think that's how he looks at life, and that's how he looks at football. And so for me, I don't mind. As long as he keeps stepping up to that next level, whatever motivates you, brother, do it. Like, that works, right? As long as he's not so sidetracked by it to where he's not doing his job well, then I look at it like that's not a bad thing for me.
Well, he is sidetracked by the stats and the sacks, and that's the thing, and that's a problem. You saw it in the sounds from the sideline. He's trying to get back in the game, and then what one of the coaches was like, George Edwards was like, we have a game on Thursday. He's like, what does that mean? And he's like, well, then tell me not to practice then, and that's why I'm a little cautious on what I see in the injury report about illness and this guy didn't practice and all that. Like, let's just see how the game goes, because I don't think any of them had a really desire to practice this week, which.
Well, but honestly, they weren't really doing a lot of practicing this week. Mike said it earlier. He said, this is not a week where you get much practice time. This is more of a mental get ready for the game kind of thing and let your body recover.
He's hungry, and I get it, but he's still got to figure out how to slow it down a little bit, because he's got to be smart in this. He's got to think, there's a game Thursday. I don't just need to get my 11th sack. I've got to be smart so I don't get injured here and miss the whole game.
I mean, that's and I think as you get older and get more mature, there's probably some perspective that comes into it. Again, what I love about him is that he's always hungry. He always wants more. And part of being great, let's be honest, part of being great is those numbers. That's a part of being great. If when it's all said and done, he finishes his career, you know how he's going to be judged? How many sacks did he get? How many pressures did he get? Like, that's how we will judge. If you want to compare him to Lawrence Taylor, did you win a Super Bowl? It's all those things, right? But it's all those things that kind of get rolled into it. So I don't have a problem with a guy shooting for those things as long as it's not hurting his team in the process. And some of that stuff, he'll learn through experience. Hey, this might be a time I need to pull back a little bit for the good of the team. We'll figure all that out. But I love that he's always hungry.
I don't think I would change his attitude. If anything, that's, I would say, the coach's job to pull him back when he needs to be pulled back. If he's screaming or yelling, that's go sit down, drink some water or something. Don't pay attention to it, but keep that energy. Keep going for it, and then coaches and trainers just worry about taking care of him, making sure he's right.
Yeah, Nick, you and I talk about that all the time when it comes to just employees in general. You'd rather have one that you got to pull back than have one you got to push out, right? You want people that are always hungry to do more and do it at a higher level, and you have to say, hey, slow down a little bit. We're okay. We can figure this out, rather than have to be like, you going to do something today? Like, what are we going to do today, So I think it's the same thing here. All right, we're going to take our final break. We'll come back. Brian has a game. Don't know how this is going to go. We will find out in the final segment. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field. United Ag and Turf. With John Deere Zero Turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf. For winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
This sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Homeownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to the break.
The Cowboys are proud to nominate defensive coordinator Dan Quinn as our 2022 NFL Salute to Service Award Club nominee. Join us in making sure he becomes a finalist for this prestigious award by voting at NFL.com/salute-fan-vote.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys, and we're ready for our final segment. We got about 8 minutes, Brian.
All right.
So let's see what we can do in this 8 minutes.
You got it. All right. My game for you guys today is, since we got Thanksgiving tomorrow, I'm going to name a Thanksgiving dish, a side, a protein. And I want you to describe or tell me the player that you think of when I say this side or this protein. Okay? And we can go around the room. We can, Nick, you could start it off today for us.
Okay.
Nick, I'm going to give you mac and cheese.
Okay.
Give me the player that best describes what you think of when you think of mac and cheese as far as how he plays.
I want to say.
Now, do you like mac and cheese to begin with?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
but
okay.
I mean, out of the box.
Yeah.
Kraft. But I'm actually really good at that.
Yeah.
But I think, it's Trayvon Diggs, because he kind of plays a sideshow to the others. But if he was just by himself, you're by yourself on a Wednesday night, you just want to eat that. It'd be good enough to hold its own because he's that good. But also usually goes with others, and it's okay being with others as well. Trayvon Diggs.
Mac and cheese, Trayvon Diggs. Derek, you have anything for that?
Mac and cheese.
Good radio.
Maybe Dalton Schultz.
There you go.
Because it's kind of, I don't know, it's mac and cheese is one of those things that, it can be really good.
Yep.
It can also be not so good.
If it's not prepared right.
Yeah, Nick was talking about, the box. The box of mac and cheese, I ain't really feeling that.
Yeah.
But the way Mom makes it, we
Dalton
in.
Schultz.
Dalton Schultz.
It could be a little salty. Yeah.
I like that too, right? Yeah, so, it's it
Okay.
depends. It could be really good. It could be really, really good. It can also be, I don't know if I'm going to eat this.
Dalton Schultz, mac and cheese. Ambar.
Well, this is completely different than you guys, but my mac and cheese would be a guy like Micah Parsons because, first of all, mac and cheese is freaking delicious. And how does that translate to the game? I'm not calling Micah delicious. I'm saying he is great on the field.
Yeah.
So, to me, mac and cheese is one of those very, very few things that you don't need to pair it with something else. You can eat a whole bowl of mac and cheese all on its own. So Micah is the type of guy that he can get it done. I mean, yes, you need help around you and all that. Yeah, maybe the salt and some cheese over there and the green onions on top. But Micah can get it done on his own, and he's just that great, and mac and cheese is great. Not the type Nick mentioned, but people that know how to make mac and cheese, and Micah knows how to play.
Zach Martin for me is mac and cheese. Reliable, you can count on it. It takes a lot of heart to make it. It's not something you just say, unless Nick's going to throw it out of the box. But it takes some effort. It's going to be when it's good, it's great, and it usually is great. All right, Ambar, perfect gravy.
Perfect gravy. Is this the one you were laughing at earlier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Noah Brown.
Noah Brown. Oh, brown gravy.
Right.
Was that funny?
No, not really. There's others, but it was just funny at the time.
Just so people know, before we got on air, Nick was literally cracking up so hard
He was losing his mind.
Yeah, he was. And we were dying to hear why.
There were some others, but
So it was
it was just funny. I was just Noah Brown.
I'll go with mine first here. Tony Pollard is gravy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tony Pollard, you could put gravy on anything, and it just makes everything taste better. It just, he's like, you see it there sitting in the bowl, and you're like going, man, that is going to be great on all this right here. And I kind of look at Tony Pollard, and I think he's just kind of, you put him out there, he's great at like all things. So I'm kind of that Tony Pollard would be my perfect gravy.
Yeah, I was going to automatically say Pollard, but then Derek made the point and said, is it really going to be Pollard? Or maybe is it Zeke now that he's the gravy?
Are you thinking Zeke?
Well, actually, my gravy would be Terrence Steele. Because it's like, this is what always happens to me. So gravy, I make my whole plate Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I go sit down. I'm about to start eating.
And you forget
and then
it?
I'm like, I forgot to get gravy. But
That's good.
when you
That's
go back to
good,
get
yeah.
the gravy,
Yeah.
it's like, man, how could I forget gravy? Like, gravy's so good. But you forget about it. You don't even think about it. That's
Yeah.
Terrence Steele.
Micah Parsons for me is the gravy. Because if the mashed potatoes aren't good, or the mac and cheese, or the turkey, or whatever, just put it on all of it. Just put the gravy on there.
Kinda like
and
the
it's
diaper.
Just smother it up.
Diaper and gravy.
Not the same thing, but you get my point.
It looks the same sometimes, but I just think, Micah Parsons is the gravy, because I mean it's like, oh, this is good, this is a good meal, good turkey. I mean, because he put it in on all of it.
Just mix it in.
I'll throw this one out there then for the group. Turkey. Not turkey like, back in the day. Oh, he's a turkey kind of. No, but turkey, because that's your main protein. Unless you use ham or other things. Turkey.
CD lamb. CD lamb is the turkey because
he's a lamb. I mean, he's not the turkey.
Yeah, I know, but in this case he's the turkey.
Oh, okay.
The reason why is because, as we all know, turkey has a lot on the spectrum, right?
Right.
You can have really, really dry baked turkey. You don't want that. You can have a succulent fried turkey that is delicious,
juicy,
right?
Yeah.
So it just depends. It depends on who made it. Depends on the day. Like you can go from great to just like, ugh, like why are we eating this? Give me some ham.
You were saying you were going to be really bad at this, but you're coming up
You
with
are
some-
coming
I had to think about it. I had to think about it.
The turkey is Dak. Dak's the staple. You got to have it. I mean,
you?
everything else goes around.
He can be dry too.
There's white meat and dark meat, so that's definitely Dak.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, Dak will say it himself.
Yes,
so
he will.
Dak
That's
is
fair.
the turkey. Yeah.
Ambar, you got one?
No, I don't have anything better than those.
All right.
To me, I was going to say, to me, Dak is the mashed potatoes.
Okay, that's what. Okay, go mashed potatoes next. Go mashed potatoes
Just
next.
because you always need the mashed potatoes. You need to put it on your plate, but nobody eats mashed potatoes by themselves.
Oh.
No, you gotta add other stuff to it. You don't, you know.
You don't sit down a bowl of mashed potatoes.
Right. You gotta add other stuff that go with it, and I think that Dak is that type of player that. It can't just be by himself, but you need him all the times, and you do need those extra elements to help him out.
See, I said Dak, and I said it for a similar reason, but it was a different logic on the food. Like, mashed potatoes is something that just by itself, you just make the mashed potatoes. It's kind of like, okay, it's just mashed potatoes.
You need to go get another job to add something to it.
Now it's a little better.
Yeah.
You add some butter.
Yeah.
Now it's even better. You add some cheese and some bacon, like you can make it really great depending on what you put into it, right? So you give Dak one thing, it's like, okay, he can be pretty good. You give him a few other toys, oh my God, before you know it, Dak is like really, really good. Yeah.
I'll tell you who you don't want it to be. You don't want it to be Deron Bland. Like, you don't want that for sure.
No, you don't want
You just
Deron
keep
Bland's
stirring
mashed
that thing. You just
No
keep
Deron
whipping
Bland.
it up like you did in Minnesota. Just keep stirring
All
it.
right, my final one for you: the sweet potato casserole.
That's easy.
Sweet potato casserole.
Oh, that's
You're not a sweet potato fan?
No, that's going to be. Well, let's go to something else. well, let's go because he's on the side all the time and he just stays there. Like, you just stay there.
You don't touch that then.
No, you just stay. And don't touch my other food. There's another player I'd rather say to that. Like, don't mess up anybody else.
Who do you got, Derek?
Sorry, well, let's go. I just mean somebody on the side and just stay on the side.
I would say Tony Pollard. He's the sweet. Like, his moves are the sweetest moves on this team.
With the marshmallows on top and all that.
His game is sweet. No doubt about it.
Ambar.
I don't know. Not everyone likes sweet potato, but everyone loves Tony Pollard.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know who I would see as sweet potato. I don't have a.
Y'all haven't had good sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
What are y'all talking?
No,
like, everybody loves sweet potatoes.
I like sweet potato, but it's not dish that everybody eats. Like that's not the one that's gonna be. Oh, we ran out of sweet potato. It's not.
At my house, it is.
Oh.
See, I kind of felt like green bean casserole.
Yeah, now that's the one where you like.
That's
I love
Cooper
green
Rush.
bean casserole.
Cooper Rush's green bean casserole. That's the one. Like, I'll try some. Yeah, I'll try a little of that. Oh, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Anthony Barr is my green bean casserole.
Anthony Brown?
I know Anthony Barr.
Anthony Barr.
I will eat it just because I have to have some vegetables.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to get to the next thing. Damone Clark is the next thing. Like, I'm just trying to eat it right now because I have to eat it. Like,
Okay.
you just got to get some vegetables.
One final thing: dinner rolls. Dinner rolls. I got one on for dinner rolls.
Go for it. Go. What do you got?
Connor McGovern. Connor McGovern is kind of like you put him in there, and like for dinner rolls, you can sop stuff up. You can use it as a, to pick things up. It's good. You got to have it. It's not spectacular, but it's just kind of good, but you could use it to kind of help you with the other meals. So Connor McGovern was my dinner roll.
Well, Kellen Moore. I mean, things are a lot better when you open it up and
there we go.
Put a little butter in there.
It's
Yeah.
like
Derek's mashed potatoes.
I like that. I like
Put
that.
some cool stuff inside of it.
I like that.
Happy holidays, guys.
All right, that's
Thank
a
you
good
guys.
That was fun.
That was actually a good game. That was a
Yeah,
good
you
game. I
worried
was-
about me,
I
weren't
was
you?
worried when you first
I thought
said. I
there'd
was
be
like,
some
"This is going to
Radio professional over here, man.
There we go. All right, guys. We appreciate you joining us. We'll be back to.
Wait, picks.
So we picked the game.
Oh yeah, picks. Let's go.
Let's
Amber,
go,
you
Cowboys.
first.
I'll start. Cowboys 31-19. They're better. And Giants will hang in there for a little bit. 31-19.
Dallas
Cowboys.
28, Giants 16.
All right.
Damn. Mine is a lot higher. Yeah. No, Dallas. I
56 to
see
3.
them going over 40 again. I think they'll do 42 to like 24, something like that. Cowboys win.
I like it.
I think it's a blowout as well. 34-10. Dallas wins, and they're sitting there in a good position, second place in the division, and ready to keep pushing toward the Eagles. All right. Appreciate you guys, Jones. We'll be back on Monday. We'll let you know what went right and wrong for the Cowboys. Get you guys ready for the next game. They keep coming. Until then, for Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break. Have a happy Thanksgiving. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!